The Honourable Te Flavel.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Chair. Kia ora tātou katoa. A lot of the te rā kōrero, I thought it was appropriate to get up now and try and allay some of those issues. Probably may not, but nevertheless I'll have a go. Me pēnei pēr te ki te timatanga. Kei te ronga ki tō kōrero, kei te ronga ki te kōrero o tēnei o ngā tuahine. He kupu whakapāha anō hoki tāku ki a koutou mo te āhua tongo tēnei whakatakoto kōrero. I pō he nōku ko ea tērā āhuatanga. Ka motu hari te me he kaupapa whakararuraru i te āhuatonga ngā whakahaere. Engari me pēnā rawa ahau me tuku i taku kupu whakapāha ki a koutou katoa mo te āhuatonga ngā whakahaere. Mai raka waiho tērā ki reira. So I take and I understand the issues are raised, and I offer my apology for the late tabling of the papers and my belief that it was taken care of, and certainly in the second issue that they were relatively minor, but I hear the points and I hope to address that in this call, Mr. Speaker, if I can. The duty I do have, however, as a Minister is to respond to some of the issues that were raised in the second reading and indeed in the first reading, and I want to do that first. In the second part, come to the issues that the member for the Green Party, Marama Davidson, raised, in particular about the ture whenua. Mr. Speaker, the concerns have been raised in the discussion with respect to the purpose of the trust and the vision of the Wīpere Trust that will have a negative impact on the trust and the beneficiaries. Mr. Speaker, I tried to outline in my first call that the purpose and philosophy of the trust are unaffected by this bill. The core principles of the trust are reinforced to promote the benefit and the advancement of the beneficiaries. The Trust Board must operate with the purpose of the Trust to promote the benefit and advancement of beneficiaries. The Trust Board can only exercise prescribed functions, and these are prescribed in sections 10 to 16 of the Bill, page 8 to 11 if the members want to follow that up. So the Bill's position, Bill positions the Trust to operate more flexibly, as they asked for, into the future, improving its governance and operational capability. Mr. Chair, a second speaker that was raised was around the structure that will limit basically accountability to beneficiaries. Well, there will be a new Trust Board structure for the Trust and a constitution which emphasises a greater relationship of accountability of the Trust Board to the beneficiaries. The Trust Board's first constitution is set out in Schedule 1 on page 22 of the Bill to help out. And to support this new structure and the operational capability of the Trust, this Bill removes ministerial, namely myself as Minister, or the ministerial position, ministerial involvement with the Trust. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the land status and protections, this issue was, issues were raised about removing legislation that deems all land held or acquired by the Trust to be Māori freehold land. Clause 9, Section 29, and page 16 of the Bill, Mr. Speaker, provides that the land listed in the new Schedule 2 is general land. The key change makes provision for general land that was converted to Māori freehold land on acquisition by the Trust, and that's about 29% of the total land holdings, will revert back to general land status on commencement of the Bill. So this change will provide, again, more flexibility for the Trust and positions it to take hold of a wider variety of economic opportunities that might come their way. The new provisions do not change the requirement of the Trust Board to act in accordance with the Trust's purpose and to undertake the prescribed function of the Trust. That's really important. It's important to note too, Mr. Speaker, that the majority of the Trust property, that's about over two-thirds of it, will not be converted back to general land through the Bill. So it's dealing with the issue about general land. If I turn to issues about jurisdiction, and that was raised, I think, with Member Meka Whaitiri's SOP, certainly concerns raised about the risks of limiting the Māori Land Court jurisdiction and losing its protections. Specific concerns included cost implications for High Court filing and the loss of the Māori Land Court expertise. Mr. Speaker, I can say that Clause 9, Section 5, page 6 of the Bill, provides that the Trust Board will be accountable to its beneficiaries under its constitution and will continue to be accountable under the Trustee Act of 1956 and the amended Māori Purposes Act 1991. But for clarity, the Bill gives the High Court jurisdiction to determine any disputes relating to the administration and governance of the Trust. So that's a new Section 5.2, if you like. Following on from that, it's appropriate I need to say just to the member Meka Whaitiri, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Te Rauā Flavel.
It's appropriate for the High Court to have jurisdiction over any dispute relating to administration and governance of the Trust, because the Trust was not established under Te Ture Whenua Māori Act in 1993. So that's important, to say that it was set up under that regime. If I can just say that there were some concerns raised about the consultation, and I can say that from the information I have, consultation started back in 2006, with more consultation 2008, 2013, and July 2013, November 2013, and that a beneficiary elected working party assisted the Trust. So, in a sense, it's my belief that there has been full consultation with the Trust. And finally, the interface with the Ture Whenua Māori Bill. It was queried as to why the bill and Te Ture Whenua Māori reforms are separate. Collective land holdings in Te Ture Whenua Māori Bill and the approach to general land in the Māori Purposes Bill, Mr. Speaker, were contrasted. It was also stated that the bill should not be advanced prior to Ture Whenua reforms. Mr. Speaker, I need to say that the two bills have always been separate and deal with absolutely separate issues. The Māori Purposes Bill relates to a private trust with a particular track record on economic development. Once the Māori Purposes Bill is enacted, the Ture Whenua Māori Bill will need to be addressing consequential amendments. If I can just go, and not to go over the Māori television one, because I think that's just straight out and out. The fact is that there's going to be an entity that's going to stop, and this is about dealing with that. With respect to the Te Rarawa Bill, again, that was about dealing with an administrative detail that actually didn't go, that hasn't been dealt with, and basically Te Rarawa has been disadvantaged because of that. And that was about trying to fix that up. If I want to turn to the Ture Whenua Act and the points raised by Marama Davidson. Mr. Speaker, an amendment to Te Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993 is sought in this SOP to remove an inequitable financial reporting requirement for Māori incorporations, and I'll try and explain. The financial reporting requirements for Māori incorporations prescribed under Te Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993 were amended by the Financial Reporting Amendment to Other Enactments Act 2013. All Māori incorporations are now required to be audited to comply with generally accepted accounting practice, and I understand this, the acronym is GAP. This is a very high financial reporting standard for many incorporations, which creates additional cost. It creates an inequity with companies, as only large companies are required to comply with these standards under the Companies Act of 1993. It also creates a significantly higher reporting burden for Māori incorporations compared to other Māori land entities. A legislative amendment is proposed to Section 267 of the Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993, the old Act, that will limit the GAP financial reporting requirements to large incorporations, Māori incorporations. Under this approach, Māori incorporations that have a total, and here's the key, Māori incorporations that have a total revenue valued over $10 million in each of the two preceding financial years will continuing to be required to meet the GAP requirements, and therefore they come under some financial burden. Māori incorporations that have less than a total revenue of $10 million in each of the two preceding financial years will be required to prepare financial statements that provide a full, true and complete account of the transactions and financial position of the incorporation. So for those entities, it will be up to the shareholders to determine whether an audit is required. So the solution is urgently required because Māori incorporations are at risk of non-compliance for the financial years that ended in 2015 and 2016. Accountants and auditors are also at risk of not complying with their professional responsibilities and obligations as members of the Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand. So this proposed amendment is about dealing with the financial years beginning on and after these provisions come into force. So it is about dealing with that. That's the background to it. That's how we got here, and it is because those incorporations are going to be lumbered and are lumbered right now unless we fix it up with a larger financial burden through no fault of their own, simply that it was overlooked in the past, and this is an attempt to fix it.